Good morning. It is time for another PR Bites. This one is issue 46. It is, if you're first time you're listening to this one, because I've just started doing this on a regular basis, every Tuesday and Thursday I do a newsletter, a written newsletter that I send out that you can get via the publicrelationspodcast.com, the website, and click on the newsletter link and you can sign up to PR Bites. And this is the audio version of that I've now started doing. And I'm labeling them with PR Bites as the title on the podcast feed, so you can always see which are these particular sort of special episodes and the other stuff that I'm doing on the Public Relations podcast. So let me run through today's PR Bites, and it's going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to read through this one. There were three main headlines that I had. The first one for today was, it seems CMOs need PR people but aren't calling it PR. Number two was, can you use AI to create thumbnails for YouTube? Because I've tried it. And, well, sort of tried it. I'll tell you more in a second. And the power of newsjacking. First of all was the I Spotted section. And CMOs need PR but don't seem to realize it. Yet more evidence that public relations, and I emphasize this in the general term rather than press relations, is the future of marketing. There was a survey just out by Dentsu that found that chief marketing officers believe that the next few years are no longer about taking an omni-channel approach. This is where companies aim to provide a seamless customer experience across all channels, both online and offline, but an omnipresent approach. And what they mean by this is that omnipresent is where brands aim to engage with consumers constantly across all platforms, but most importantly, all aspects of their lives. So once again, it's the PR mindset of engagement and conversation that CMOs are looking for. And it's not just about when a product is being used, but making the brand and the message part of someone's lifestyle, whether they're on the train or brushing their teeth. So CMOs clearly want PR. The survey also reveals that CMOs' biggest concern, which PR people can also help with, 79% of CMOs feel the problem is predicting fast-changing consumer behaviors in order to develop new products and the marketing strategies to deliver them, because cultural trends and economic conditions and technological advancements are constantly changing all the time. But again, PR people have their finger on the pulse of that too. And finally, CMOs are asking for a new kind of creativity, according to the survey, to do all this, which is interesting because PRs have been doing this for years. So the problem seems to be that CMOs are not hearing what PR can do for them, which really does raise a bit of a question as well. What can the comms industry as a whole do about that? The next item, YouTube AI thumbnails. Well, I was watching some of the videos YouTube creator liaison Rene Ritchie has been sharing, talking about what to do to win on YouTube today. And in one of them, some creators talked about using AI for YouTube thumbnails. So I thought, okay, let's give this a try. So I copied and pasted the full transcript from yesterday's episode with Jim McCarthy. And that was on the main podcast, by the way, and added a simple prompt saying, please turn this transcript into a thumbnail for YouTube. And in the newsletter, I actually put the image down there, but let me try and describe it for you. What it came up with, so the episode, if you haven't heard it with Jim, was talking about when you're working with controversial clients and how you can kind of combat a public narrative that is against you. So it's a kind of really sort of black and white, left and right kind of argument between two sides. And what it came up with was an image whereby half the screen was in red, half the side was in blue, probably going for a political thought here. And it had lots of logos of like YouTube logos, Twitter logos, newspapers. It had, looks like some trolls on the left-hand side, which is interesting because that kind of implies almost that there's some kind of evil clients. But on the right, it had like someone that looks like a sort of virtuous journalist and a microphone. And so what you can see is a kind of battle between the two sides. And although the image itself is covered in spelling mistakes, I mean, you couldn't use it as it is. It is kind of eye-catching, and you can see how it can be used as inspiration. Maybe this is more for the marketing team, but if you're putting out YouTube videos, it might still give some ideas if you are good with the images, or you want to be saying, look, to whoever's doing the graphic design in your company or your organization, this is the kind of thing I'm aiming for the thumbnail. But it was worth giving it a try just to see how good it is. And it's clearly not there yet. It's not something that a PR person can just go generate this and get it right. But it's on its way, certainly. And finally, in the I spotted section, mistakes to avoid in PR, there was a real car crash PR moment I spotted on LinkedIn. Cale Guthrie Weissman, hopefully I said that right, the editor in chief of a publication called Modern Retailer, said one of his team asked a company for an interview. And the third party PR service that was working with that company said to them that they're prioritizing larger national publications since they're currently inundated with media requests. Now, as he rightly pointed out, it is fine to decline an interview. Outlets get that all the time. But as he also pointed out, it will be very difficult to receive unsolicited pitches from that PR company ever again. The mistake here is pretty obvious. Don't make an outlet feel small. I've mentioned it quite a few times before, but there was a company, quite a big PR company in the UK when I was a broadcaster, which I refused to use any content from after one incident on air. Oh, there's another takeaway actually from that, is that if you ever feel like you can never get coverage, remember that outlets are reaching out to commentators all the time, and they are getting turned down at times. And if you can arrive, your pitch can arrive there at that exact moment and step in as a voice, there's a chance you'll take over from them ever reaching out to that original company again. So there are opportunities, but obviously it's timing, and you can't know exactly when they reached out to get that and didn't get it. But it's always worth thinking about newsjacking, thinking about opportunities like that, as I was going to say in the next section, which was about the next section of the newsletter is called Getting Clients. And it's about newsjacking today because it remains certainly a popular technique. Why? Because it gives reporters what they need when they need it, instead of trying to pitch something new, which is always going to be a harder sell. An example I was reading the other day was about a law firm called Caldwell, and they put their team forward on almost every story they could as it broke, allowing them to get known and become go-to spokespeople. So in the same respect, if you're in the communications business, I certainly see some, in quote, thought leaders who come from the comm space who are commenting on stories that are happening that day. And you can see how much popular they are for the algorithm, for wherever they're on, Twitter or TikTok or whatever. You can see how much more effective they are than other PR people that you see who do a sort of weekly roundup, who do a comment at the end of the week and sort of say, this is my observations on what happened. And those just don't gain the same traction. So news tracking, while something is trending, whatever your expertise, whether you're a comms firm or whether you're a client that you're trying to represent, it certainly has opportunities. And you don't need to be a true expert in this. I always remember a friend of mine was interviewed on a property show because he owned an apartment in Cyprus, in the Mediterranean Sea. And that was it. He simply owned one property, but he was still considered to be an expert. So you just never quite know when these things come up. A quick tip from a guest, and if you missed that episode with Jim McCarthy again, here's one quick tip from that. And it's a technique you can see, you see a lot in politics too. And it's a very quick tip. If you need to say something that may cause division, get case studies to say it instead, because it is harder to attack an individual who's speaking from personal experience than a business who are trying to sell something. And finally, for the newsletter today, the PR puzzle, and the scenario for you to have a think about and see what you would like to do. So here's the scenario for today. You're the communications head at Glam Tech, a luxury beauty tech brand. And during a live interview with an influencer, they slip up and mention the secret AI-powered smart makeup mirror that you told them not to talk about. Well, the mirror allows people to try on different makeup without actually applying it. It even gives recommendations. The thought of it goes viral. People love the idea, but your boss is not happy. This wasn't meant to come out as the product isn't ready yet or reliable. So, what do? Do you A, offer an exclusive beta testing offer to people, to members of the public, to get on board and to test things out, to control the narrative, create scarcity, but also help the company with feedback? Or do you focus on strategic silence and controlled teasers that allow you to build tension? Which do you do? I think from a public relations perspective, the focus, of course, needs to be on the emotional connection rather than the kind of the raw marketing perspective. And I think you can see here the potential problems with the relationship and the message that goes out, depending on which one you do. We've already got that excitement, but we know too that excitement will wane very quickly without action and without constantly taking advantage of this narrative now that has developed. And the problem is the product isn't ready yet. So either technique is going to work, but I think beta testers could leak the problems they spot, and that could do enormous damage. So perhaps the best approach for now would be the strategic silence and not answering any questions, but still putting out teasers, slowly revealing their potential. Providing the narrative remains positive with that strategy, this could keep you going until the product is developed enough for those beta testers. But what do you think? How would you approach this? How would you get that excitement to continue with people? I would love to know. Don't hesitate to contact me. You can always get hold of me on LinkedIn. If you connect with me, you'll find me under the name Richard Midson, Midson, Midson. Feel free to connect with that and let me know. And I'll share any ideas I get in the newsletter too. That's it for today. Have an awesome weekend. I'm going to be back on Tuesday next week. If you know anyone who should be getting the newsletter as well, don't forget to point them towards the publicrelationspodcast.com, and get them to click on the newsletter link, and they can subscribe to the newsletter as well. Or, of course, listen on the podcast too. That's it for now. Have an awesome weekend. I'll speak to you soon. Oh, P.S. That wasn't 4 minutes. I rambled too much. My apologies. Never trust me when I say how long I'm going to take, because there's always so much I want to share. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.